everyone, welcome back again to the iConis podcast. We always appreciate you tuning in. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Barry 3D Carter, Deep Dark Delicious. You know how we do. And if you want to catch all the links and everything I do, be it online or live, never miss out. And just simply go to barry3d.com. The link is down below. You can't miss it. Thank you very much. Here we go. Now, like usual, I'm always here with my man, my best friend, my cousin, myth, legend, visionary, master of sounds. If he was a transformer, he'd be the two techniques and a subwoofer. Who am I talking about? My cousin, the one and only
Rod C. DJ Rod C is in the building, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of iConis, that the icon is. We won't get. I nearly let it out.
You nearly let it out. You nearly let it out, cuz. Okay, that's cool. We're going to get ready because we're excited about this one. So right away, we're going to get down. First of all, thank you to Check Swing Comics with our boy Trevor. Thank you to Wow Comics with our boy Wes. I got to shout out the men I work with, which is A Touch of Great Comedy, which is myself, Barry 3D, along with Dave Sokolowski and Zolf Ali. And we are live going around doing a lot of shows. So we haven't done much online yet. We are coming back. The show is not done. Not done yet. And the one who makes us all look so pretty. If you need any work done, like what we got here, similar, or something live, or whatever you got going on, if you got your own business and you need some kind of graphics for the exterior, interior, reach out to our boy. Mention you heard about him on the iConis podcast, and he'll give you a discount. And this is worldwide. Right on. Rod, who am I talking about?
We'll be talking about the one, the only, the man, the legend, the man they call him, J. Bird Digital Art.
J. Bird Digital Art. You tell him that you heard about him on the iConis podcast. He will definitely hook you up. And also, this is another quick ad we're just going to add on right now. If you want to start your own podcast, you want to get into something like what we're doing or anything else, because there's no subject that's taboo when you're doing a podcast. It's just you, microphone, and the audience. Do it by yourself or with a group, however you want to do it. You can use Podbean. We use our Podbean. This is how we do our podcast. Our podcast is hosted through Podbean. So if you go on to podbean.com, we'll have a link up there how to do that. So we're part of that, and we're going to push that as much as possible. And that there puts it out to all the other streaming services. So we put it on Podbean, and boom, Spotify, boom, iTunes, boom, iHeart, and boom, Good Pods, and boom, it just goes all over. One episode gets linked up. It's really easy to use. Check it out, Podbean. This is the iConis podcast. We're on there. That's where the root of this episode is at. And regardless of where you're streaming it at, thank you very much. And if you're able to help this channel grow, please go and see our Patreon page or our coffee page. A tip, whatever you can, help the channel grow. We'll give you a shout out for sure. Thank you very much. I think we got it covered.
I think so.
Now, Rod, you can let them know
Ladies
who
and gentlemen,
the icon is on iConis today.
The icon for today's episode will be OMAC. OMAC, not like old MacDonald. No disrespect. Put some respect on his name.
Yes.
OMAC is here, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right. It is not Return of the Mac, but can Return of OMAC.
Yeah, Return of OMAC.
No, that doesn't even rhyme. I was off on that one.
We'll get there. Return
of
OMAC.
There.
Return OMAC. Return OMAC. Just return
OMAC. Oh, geez. Here we go. Right on. So thank you everyone that's been rocking with us. We are closer to episode 100, and we are very excited to kind of get that down. We don't even know what we're doing for it yet, but we're going to do something. And as I said, the icon on iConis today is OMAC. And we're going back to the original OMAC. I know there's been many different versions over time, but we're going back to the one done by the one and only King Kirby. Oh, now
Jack Kirby.
Jack Kirby. Who is OMAC? So first of all, OMAC is an acronym, and it stands for One Man Army Corps. Yes, that's right. So by DC Comics one-man army corps. So what happened is Jack Kirby at the time has worked with every pretty much comic book company or has influenced every artist out there, writer out there to a certain degree. No artist will say they're not influenced or didn't get drawn into his work, as he was just everywhere. He was working at Marvel. He went over and started, things didn't work out a certain way that he liked. He bounced over to DC. And while working at DC, he was getting near the end of his contract. So at this point, the New Gods, he created the New Gods. Right. And it was coming near the end of that contract. He still had a couple more things to do. They were started canceling his books at DC. So he's getting ready to kind of do the jump back to Marvel. And they go, well, you got to fulfill your contract. You got a couple more issues of something you got to give us. Pages, something. And he goes, all right. There was an idea that he was playing around with while he was at Marvel about putting Captain America in the future.
Back to the future. Come on, Marty. Back to the future.
Back to the future, Marty. Exactly. And Marvel was like, well, we already brought him from the past to the present. Now you want to put him in the future. And he's like, yes. And they went, no. And he went, oh. And then he went to DC. And he's like, I have an idea. So OMAC really is influenced by Captain America because that was the tale. It's Captain America in the future. It's a super soldier in the future, according to Jack Kirby. And what that future could be. And, the issue, the story, it came out in November of 1975, issue number 1 of OMAC by DC Comics. It only ran for 8 issues. So, but the imagery for some of it was really cool for some of the things he's done. And it might not have been one of the strongest stories he wrote, but the imagination was there. And that's what I liked about it. Issue number 1, you got, the cover of OMAC, our hero, and he's throwing a box, and it has what seems to be a woman in the box. But when I say in the box, all you see is her legs, and then you see her head, and you see the arms on the side. It's very weirdly drawn. And then you find out later on in the book that she's a android. She's a robot that you put together, so it's literally a woman in a box. Now, keep in mind, Jack Kirby came up with this whole concept back in 1974. Issue came out in 1975. And here we are in 2023. If you read it, it might not be the strongest written storyline, but you're looking at it going, you're trying to tell me there was fembots? Okay. And he's working, and we'll get into it. So that's OMAC. So OMAC starts off as a guy named Buddy Blank. Pretty much is supposed to be a generic nobody. That's Steve Rogers, but Buddy Blank. And I've read the series a couple of times. I like the art. I like Jack Kirby, obviously. Right. And when I'm reading that, and I go, Buddy Blank, that's a weird name. Then it got me thinking, which is dangerous. Excuse me. And it got me thinking. And I'm like, if I had to make a hero, an agent, something like that, would I always get them to use their real name? I want that deep in the archives. And I saw DC touch on this with another character called Rip Hunter, who was he's a time master. He's a time traveler, Rip Hunter. And if you read his 8-issue miniseries that they came out with in the 90s, Time Masters, they go, oh, Rip Hunter, and we don't know anything about you. I mean, he's Rip Hunter. He's got a team. He comes up with time travel. But the concept of Rip Hunter, he comes up in one issue and he goes, Rip Hunter is not my real name. And everyone stops like, what do you mean? He goes, I'm not telling you people my real name. If you all knew my real name, you could pull a Sarah Connor on me. You all can go back into time and get me when I was a baby as an infant and snuff me out. And then all the villains I fight through time would have no one to stop them because you would have got rid of me before I was even born. You could have got rid of my parents, whatever. So the name I'm giving you is Rip Hunter.
Take it or leave it.
Leave it at that. Good luck trying to find me in the yearbook because no Rip Hunter exists. And if you find a Rip Hunter, it ain't me. And that's what got me thinking. It's like, Buddy Blank, hey, Mr. Blank, I don't believe, a lot of things you take as face value, like Bruce Wayne. Okay, we know Bruce Wayne is his name, right? Clark Kent is the name he's given. Right. Buddy Blank, I don't think that could be a given name. I think, in retelling the story, someone just says, hey, going forward, your name is Buddy Blank. Okay. That's the name you'll be given. That's it. Witness protection program. So what it is, you have Buddy Blank. He works at a factory. He seems to be a nobody. It's like when you read those old school comic books from that time and period where you have the guy at the beach and he's pushing around the skinnier guy. And then the skinnier guy goes, hey, you should work out. He's like, yeah, I'm going to work out. And then he comes back and he's like, oh my gosh, you're so buff. It's like, yeah, kick sand in my face now. Buddy Blank is the before guy. Right. And he's working at a factory and everyone kind of pushes him around. And when he's working there, he wants to talk to this one girl named Lila because she would understand him. And he talked to Lila and he figures he can open up to Lila. It's like, Lila, you're so nice. You're so cool. It's great that at least I have someone here that's not pushing me around or talking down to me that I can open up and talk to about my feelings. And when Buddy Blank walks away, you see the guy saying, okay, next. And they grab Lila and you're like, oh my gosh, she's getting kidnapped. And then you see they pull her apart because she's a robot. She's so well put together that not even Buddy Blank realizes that she's a robot. He thinks she's a real girl.
Right.
So bottom line is Buddy Blank had an operation done. He was, given certain elements or whatever case it be. And then they walked away. They made him like a sleeper agent. He would not be woken up until a certain time. Prior to that, what they did. So let's backtrack a little bit. What they did is a group of scientists who work for the GPA, which is the Global Peace Agency. Were scientists, and they worked one particular scientist, and they said we need to make some kind of guy to work for us to help stop these corporations that are running wild here in the future or what's happening in the world and try to protect people, right? And they said, all right, we're going to make this satellite. We're going to make this one-man army corps. He's be our ultimate agent. And this satellite was made, sent into orbit, and it stayed there. And then when the agent is needed, the satellite would always keep an eye on that one particular agent who is now Buddy Blank. But Buddy Blank doesn't know he's been changed into OMAC. He doesn't know he's got the elements of OMAC in him. He was changed, and it's like he just woke up and it's like, what's your name? Buddy Blank. Okay, cool. And when things start going a certain way and it's like, we need him, the satellite Brother Eye, and that's what the satellite's called, Brother Eye. So it goes back to Big Brother's always watching, right? I always feel like somebody's watching me.
Brother Eye, Brother Eye, Brother Eye.
Right? Zaps him with some rays, and the rays give him power. They make him physically bigger, stronger. They can, depending on, they deal with his density. So they can make him really dense to increase his strength. They can make him less dense to allow him super speed and flight.
And stuff.
So Brother Eye also gives him information on situations. And he hears Brother Eye in his head because he's got like the little chips in his head, unbeknownst to everybody else. So Buddy Blank, normal looking guy. But when he changes to OMAC, he gets more buff. He gets a mighty mohawk. And at one point, you're like, is it a mohawk or a helmet? And they make the things like he looks like Ares with this god of war with his mohawk kind of thing. And he gets a different costume. His clothes change to a blue costume with yellow gloves and yellow boots and orange kind of pants. And he's got an eye symbol on his chest. Interesting. So this is what's caused Buddy Blank, and he's got to work with the Global Peace Agency in the future to keep the peace, because these corporations can do whatever they want. So in his first mission, he gets into a factory that's making these fembots. He goes to destroy it. And now what's cool about Jack Kirby is Brother Eye pumps OMAC with so much energy that the energy just starts radiating off his body, and it's triggering explosions within the factory. And when everyone's running out of the factory, OMAC's just walking through. Explosion. Explosion.
Did I do that? Yes, I did. Thank
you. So this is what I'm talking about, that back in 1975, here we have building blowing up behind you, and the main hero's just walking away. The walk away from the explosion.
That's that slow-mo type of effect. That's,
Yes, come on, Jack Kirby. Come on, man.
Yeah, that was me. Yeah, that was me.
Ahead of his time. Come on. Now, that's all effect that you see in movie theater, when you go and watch a movie, TV shows where things are blowing up and you see the hero just slowly walking away when everything's exploding. Jack Kirby portrayed that on paper in 1975. Now you know why we call him the king.
Completely. Is it? There's so much stuff to pull away from.
Oh, my man froze. Rod will be back in a second. I know he's got a good point going on, and we gonna make sure
From that.
point...
I mean, even regarding to the invisible.
Hold on, cousin. Hold on, cousin. You just came back.
Okay,
You froze for a second. The last I heard was there's so much good stuff, and you froze.
Froze. Yeah. Okay. Let's try this again. So a lot of this stuff I pulled off from that was when you were explaining it and you can see it, the invisible beams and stuff like that, being DC and everything along that line. It gave me the feeling. Well, Jack Kirby for one, you can see. Okay, how do I want to play this and say this? I had an imagery of Thor back like Blake. So
Yes.
basically getting hit with the lightning in that sense that from Asgard. But then I said, you know what, we're on DC. So let's go with Zeta beams, the invisible beams. So now I'm starting to think of invisible beams like Zeta beams, basically like Adam Strange. So I'm like, okay, I like that. I like this. I like not saying the similarities, but you can see where you can say, you know what, I can pull a little stuff from here, pull from there. It's a nice thing. And the brother eye watching over, I'm like, okay. I like. You know, you guys, you know me. I'm the subtle guy. I'm just like, oh, okay. He can
But
fly.
that's the beauty of it.
Okay. Yeah.
There was a lot of subtleties in that. So one, slow motion walking away. Two, the comparison to Captain America and the influence of Captain America of what he wanted to do with that.
Yeah.
Three, the GPA, right? So the Global Peace Agency. They only made their very first appearance in OMAC #1, and they have been around a while, and they kind of crisscross into different books. But their importance is their look. They walk around with masks all the time that show no facial features. Back in 1975.
Taking the words of a faceless entity literally to heart. I found that so literally so funny. We're a faceless organization. You don't know who we are. So every time you see the face, it's one of those type of like
exactly. You don't know who they are behind there. And what
blue mask type of scenario. Not at all.
Yeah. You don't know who's behind there or whatever. We're having a little bit of technical issues, but it's okay.
Yeah,
it is what it is. We keep on going. So that's what I'm saying. So they're a faceless organization. I agree with you on that. And what I liked and I thought was really interesting is I watched the Watchmen series on HBO.
Got it.
Right? When you watch the Watchmen series on HBO, the police officers who were selected, what did they do? Cover their faces. All the police officers in that series have their faces covered, so you don't know who they are. So when they go home, they can take off the mask and live a normal life and not being harassed.
Right.
So that was that series came out just a couple of years back. And here we are with OMAC doing the same thing in 1975. 3 things that Kirby's given us. 4, he's given us fembots.
So hilarious. Yeah,
but it's true. Now, if you look at today's society, and he's talking about corporations and how they run amok.
Right.
In issue 2 of OMAC, he goes to a town. He's going to a city, and they stop him outside the city and say, hey, sir, you can't go in there. And he was like, why not? He goes, well, this corporation has rented the city for a night. Hear what I'm saying? A corporation has rented a city for a night, meaning they have full control of that whole city. So no matter where you live, I don't care if it's Washington, D.C., I don't care if it's the city of Toronto, the city of Montreal. You know what I mean? A corporation rented a city for a night. Can you picture Elon Musk coming up and saying, hey, Detroit, tonight I'm renting your city and I can do whatever I want in your city because I've rented it for a night because you all need the money and I have that much. And he's got to get in there to stop the corruption that's going on because even though they rented the city, he knows there's a back end deal with this guy, either Mr. Big. And Mr. Big is one of the criminal guys in there that they're trying to bring down. So OMAC, even though he's a one-man army corps, he's army. So he, that knowledge that's resting with Brother I is military army, knowledge that he gives to Billy Blank. I believe that Billy Blank is an assumed name we don't know who Billy Blank is. Billy Blank is supposed to be a nobody, but I think it's even deeper than that. And that's where I would go in with that whole aspect of maybe his name was, I don't know, could have been Bob Smith, for example, or I don't know, Jason Statham. But then they got Jason Statham and they said, hey, look, you know what? We're going to, Weapon X you, so to speak, put you through this program, then mind wipe you, forget that we put you through this program, and we're going to give you a new identity. Your name is Buddy Blank, because you're not going to be memorable. No one's going to remember you. No one's going to think about you. You don't have a name that's going to stand out. You're going to be under the radar. You're not going to, some people walk into a room and you can sense their presence. When you walk into a room, people forget you were even there.
Exactly. You basically have the power of a hobbit. That's why he's there. I don't even know you're here. Disappear into the shadows. Do what you got to do. It's hilarious. I mean, even in the sense of Blank, to me, I mean, Jack is coming out with some good aspect of it, making like a no-name brand, like Blank, aka what's the normal default word, domain or end name you normally use? Is surname, Smith. That's it. Just disappear like everybody's a Smith.
Right.
You can Blank. That's no problem. So it's very nice, and it's just it's breaking down in that particular concept. Also what was hitting me before in regards of the ultra beam or the invisible beings, basically, you started thinking about like an early edition of like Cyborg. In that sense, he has all the information being downloaded to him. A similarity. I'm just trying to give you a visual picture of characters or people that you may know right now. So when we start talking about, the characters that we bring up, just to give you, I guess that's always my spiel. That's my spiel. That's what I do. Hey, Pappy, that's what I do. Hey,
if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Don't, too much paperwork. That's what I'm saying. Hey,
if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Don't fix it. But yeah, that's how I look. That's how I visualize it with Buddy. Buddy has that ability that, again, when needed, he turns into OMAC. He needs all this information. Brother Eye just brings it down, just like Cyborg, just taking it in. And he goes off and does what he has to do. Okay. I'll just stay over here. Deuces. I'm out. OMAC! No, I won't freeze. Sorry, keep going.
No need, man. No need to apologize. So that's how I picture it. So OMAC working with the GPA is trying to figure out and get the world right. It's trying to keep the world balanced. I mean, there's some parts in the world that have been decimated. There's other parts in the world that have been, just corrupted, and they realize that. So there's advanced technology. Jack Kirby's drawing of cities and towns and buildings is going to be wild. His drawings of machinery is just so out there.
It's monumental.
It stands out. It makes his art makes an impact on the whole thing, no matter what. Mm-hmm. And for everything that he has to do, he's pretty much a cop. And and he's in that world now. I know OMAC has had many different versions of OMAC. I know everyone's going to probably think of more OMAC when Batman made that satellite Mark I that became eventually Brother Eye to make OMACs, and then a whole bunch of people were OMACs and they didn't realize it. And that storyline is like, I'm wearing my Batman shirt. And that storyline was cool, but to me, it didn't capture the true essence of it. And I know there was another one by John Bryan who made a 4-issue maxi series or miniseries, prestige format, which was well done and explained more of OMAC Buddy Blank more after his series. So he's more in the future. He's a little bit more disgruntled, jaded. It was black and white, but of course, John Bryan drawing it, you can't go wrong. So I'm going to stick with the original. This whole concept is cool, and I like world building. Now, what I say about this is OMAC was around the same time and crisscrossed with Kamandi, the last boy on Earth.
Got it.
And Kamandi doing his thing, OMAC doing their thing. That was a world that was starting to build out of DC in a potential future. I know every time they got something like Kingdom Come and all that, they always say it's a potential future. They never want to lock down which future it is. Okay, but I wanted more from this potential future. So is there a lot more going on? Here's my whole spiel. One, I want to see more. Obviously, we're talking about this character, and I always liked him, the original. And I want to see more of OMAC, the original. Like that storyline ran for 8 issues. I know there's been other ones, but I want to see fill in the blanks. First, we need to have who is Buddy Blank. We know Buddy Blank, but I want to know Buddy Blank pre-Buddy Blank. because I don't think that he was born and he was born to Mr. and Mrs. Blank. Could have been born to Mr. and Mrs. whatever the last name was, but I don't think it was Mr. and Mrs. Blank.
No,
was he even born? Was he maybe a generic, artificial, I'm not saying a clone, but you could just kind of get a couple of chromosomes here and here and put them in a test tube and grow them. This is the future.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's why they gave him the name Buddy Blank, and it could have been that way. So I don't know. This is what I really want to know more of. I want to see more of that world. And, you see the corruption of it. You see what happens with the Megalomax. You see what happens with the big companies that, the richer get rich and they can do whatever they want. And he's trying to rein them in. The global, the GPA. And they seem to have some ties in with aliens. And I mean, I know they kind of redid the history, but their true history was they were trying to, Global Peace Agency was trying to really work to do that. There was a couple of agents. Some of them worked hand in hand with OMAC. So for myself, I want to see more about Buddy Blank and really who is he? Who was he before? I mean, Steve Rogers, we know who Steve Rogers was growing up. Steve Rogers growing up wanted to be in the army. We know Steve Rogers growing up was into architecture, and he was an architect and liked drawing. So we know that about it. We know about his family. We knew, about his extended family at the time back then before the super soldier serum.
Mm-hmm.
Then he gets it, becomes Captain America. We all follow the adventures after that, but we do get history of knowing who this character is. Buddy Blank is really, I know he left him blank on purpose because as per his name, but I think there's got to be more to him, because you're not going to say, hey, well, this guy was, as I said, John Smith. Oh, well, but, especially with the future, how it is, if they can rent a city, they can finally easily rent somebody or hire somebody, a mercenary, an assassin, go after his family, hold him a hostage and say, you can't do nothing to me. We have your whole, if you could get a city, they could get the whole entire line. Let's say most of your relatives live in one city, rent the city, and then lock them all up.
Mm-hmm.
We got your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother, your cousin, your aunts, your uncles, your dog, your goldfish, your parrot, your first grade school teacher. We have them. Disrespect. We got your doctor, your dentist. We got the bully at the playground that used to push you around. We got everybody. What are you going to do? Your first crush. What are you going to do? Right? It's like, then you really cripple the hero. So to protect them from all of that, it's like, we're going to wipe your memory. Your name is Buddy Blank. Even if people try to find out who you were before, they will never have a chance. And your family before will be safe. Mm-hmm. So what takes it that a man, and this is how I'm building up the world. What takes it that a man would turn around, look at the situation, look at the world and say, yeah, put me in for the experiment, wipe my memory, because then what are you getting out of it? Maybe someone in your family is sick. Maybe your family was poor. Maybe you're doing something to elevate the status of your family in one way or the other.
Right.
Or maybe you just felt so honor bound for what was happening in the world and you were disgusted and you want to be the change. At the same time, it's almost like joining up for the army. You want to make that change. You want to be on the first line of defense.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, we're going to put you not just in the regular army or GPA. We're going to put you in a situation where you're going to be out there for us as our number one agent. But at the same time, we got to make sure there's no retaliation to your family. Here's what we come up with. Do you agree? Yes or no?
Correct.
And that goes in line almost with the GPA, because all of them have masks on their face, so you never know who they are.
This is where I was going to come along that point.
Preach.
It's well, if you really step back, let's even go pre-Buddy.
Yes.
This organization have the ability to create a buddy. That means they've been there for a while. They've been an entity, a large corporate entity for a very long time that have the resources, the funding, the capital, the manpower and the mind to the think tank to do something like this. So they basically realizing we need, like they said, we need some way of combating, whatever crime. So I'm just gonna make the similarities. How that's my spiel. Let's go with a Gotham. The place is corrupt like Gotham. We're going to need someone to do that. But we need to basically wipe them completely, give them a whole new identity, And just in case for them themselves, maybe they want to get backed out. Maybe they get pushed in a corner and they realize, you know what, this is too much for me, and back out of the deal or some way. So they know the best way is to find someone who's saying, these are the terms. We're going to go with Born Identity, basically from the beginning. If you remember from the very, maybe the second or third one, when he basically showed his original, Jason Bourne's original, how he started saying, you're doing this for your country. You're going through all this process for the greater good. We're going to have to wipe your memory. We're going to put you through some regular, ordeal just to get you properly and mentally trained to do what you have to do. Are you willing? Yep. Okay. Sign here on the dotted line. Like Barry said, it could be in compensation, we're going to make sure your family is well taken care of for the rest of their life. They will never understand why your bank account is being properly puffed and taken care of, or, your family is getting good jobs. They just don't even know why. I went for an interview. I don't remember I got an interview. Congratulations. You're not the president of this corporation. Well, great. I just came off the street. Whatever. These are different ways of going around it. But having someone who's coming in buddy blank, you now are going to be the eyes and the hands of, the long arm of the law for us, and taking care of whatever type of corruptions are going on across the country to the world at a global peace agency. Let that sink in again. GPA, Global Peace Agency. That's how big this corporation is. It's worldwide.
I like that. I like that.
If it's worldwide, they have the resources to do all this. Again, a faceless entity, a faceless amount of people. Again, as we said, you watch, when you read the comic and you see these individuals, they have these type of, masks that are faceless. So again, they can literally punch out, go through some secret door, come out 2 blocks away, be like, Bat Cave, the Green Arrow Cave, that kind of, no one knows when you go to a secret door, you come out like, oh, put my jacket on, I walk in with a bag of groceries, like, I just cut through the alleyway, after getting a quart of milk and a stick of butter. I'm good. No one knows that you're a secret agent or you're a faceless entity for the GPA. So I'm saying all that to say that the whole plan for this individual was definitely thought out by the corporation, realizing we need a. Now I can't recall if this was a plan for more OMACs later on down the line. I think there was just this one. I can't recall. I will be honestly, I can't recall. I don't know if you remember, Barry. If anybody does know this, put that in information down below. But were they planning to make a bunch of sentinels in that sense of arms, or just one individual? Because
that was a good question. They only made for the original one. It was only supposed to be one and done.
Right. Okay, because again, the one man army corps, right? Well, you can have one man like a Captain America, but again, the same thing with the super soldier serum. They wanted a guy, one person who have the ability to have the strength of 10 men type of scenario. So imagine have 10 men. That's 100 men right there. Strength of 100 men with only 10 men. So you can still have that one man army corps, Captain America type of scenario. So it could have been was that their original plan or not? I can't recall. But if you're saying that's exactly it, that's what I had a feeling of. But I'm thinking,
right? That was, I can't remember more. And the thing is, with 8 issues, you never get into enough of it. So I know originally
this is the thing.
That was the plan. I know when they brought it back with the New 52, I think it was, and then Batman turned around and he was using Mark I, the original version of Brother Eye to watch the Justice League. And then it got Maxwell Lord to control of it. Then it became like a whole world was right. But the original one, it always seemed to be one and done.
Just one and done.
And I don't know why they never did more. I can't remember if they experimented more before or after. It's very vague. So we'd have to do more research, or if somebody knows out there, they have to let us know in the comments. That's really what I think. So what you were saying before really sparked something in me. You mentioned Born Identity, which I think is a perfect comparison to that.
When I'm reading this, I'm listening to you, you're just more confirming, like that was especially those scenes that showed how he started.
Yes,
he made a conscious decision to go into this program for the better good of his country.
Right.
He's basically being a super soldier beyond the normal aspect. You're going to do stuff that normal soldiers won't be able to do. You're going to be that first line of attack. So you're basically taking out issues before it gets too big.
Yeah, our top guy, our top agent, our top line of it. Exactly. And this is where I was happy and vexed at the same time. Because going back to your point, you know me, I love world building, right? You build a world, add more to it. Like in the John Wick, they're building the world. Okay, got it. Be it if you like it or not, at least I see what they're doing. So going back to your point, when you mentioned Jason Bourne, this is what I liked. They turned around, they tried to do some world building by a TV show called Treadstone. Treadstone was the agency that put together Jason Bourne and all the other agents. And they made a series out of Treadstone, and it was fire, explaining everything pre-Jason Bourne, like how Treadstone started, their original name, how it became Treadstone, and working up and all the aspects of it. And they were going, like, in the past and present time, and and they were going up there, and it got to a certain point, and it got to the season finale, and then they didn't renew it for season 2, and that's what vexed me. And I was invested in that. Like Treadstone, even though it's going to be anticlimactic because you're not going to get a full ending, and you have to kind of assume what happens next, it's still to me, it was a good series. I enjoyed it. It's definitely to watch. Keeping that in mind, I want, and here we go. We'll get right into the whole fan casting part of it. I want something similar to that. I want an OMAC series with the feel of the Treadstone. Like, get me those writers because they understand that whole thing. Give them the chance to go in the future. Let them make it and go forward. And I'm open to all different mediums with this one. Okay. I'm thinking right now out loud. So if I had to turn around and say how I want to see it, I would say it would either have to be a movie for me, or it'd be a mix of both, of a movie and maybe a limited cartoon series, because I don't think they would get the essence of the world done right in a TV show.
Yeah, no, completely.
Right, like I'm just thinking budget, right? So it's either go big or go home. I think, I maybe not. I think I would start off, or very limited. Yeah, I think this can work in every aspect. I think it can work in a limited TV show, a cartoon, but the cartoon would have to be, it can't be like for kids. It has to be more aimed for young adults.
Like Spawn type of scenario. A high end one kind of scenario. Not high end, but very adult themed, themed type of event. Yeah, no, exactly. With that.
So here's my call. I'm going to fan cast. I want to do the fan cast right now. So for myself here, I would go with an actor that, in my opinion, has the look. It has a dry wit, because I think you would need to have a little bit of dry wit or a little bit of humor, because it's a very dark and desolate. So at times you need a little bit of levity, not slapstick or something stupid, but a little bit of levity. And the actor I know, I'm going to say here, can either be the instigator of the joke, or he could be the straight man of the joke. Okay. He can be very reserved, but there's a power behind him, or he can be very outgoing in roles I've seen him play before. Okay. So if I had the chance to cast him, and then also I like this guy's voice. Okay. So even if they had to do it as an animated, James Gunn said that he wanted to, with his DC projects going forward in the future, he wants to get the same actors to do, if they do cartoons, they'll be able to take those voice actors to do live action appearances. And I like that because it keeps everything uniform. So that's the most we're saying about that point. So I'm going with the actor, Jon Hamm.
Got it. Okay.
Yes. So Jon Hamm was in Suits.
Yep.
Jon Hamm was in Tag. Right. Jon Hamm does those commercials on TV. Hey, Brandon, the Uber Eats commercials or whatever it is. And he's kind of over the top. If you look at how OMAC is drawn by Jack Kirby and you look at Jon Hamm, he's got the physique, get Jon Hamm a couple of fight lessons, so to speak, to do those action sequences. If you remember John, he was also in the movie Tag, which was a very physical movie, even though it wasn't a fight movie, but he was doing a lot of running, a lot of jumping, in that movie Tag, John Hamm would be who I want for OMAC. And the fact that he could turn around and he's got that voice, he's got a uniqueness to his voice that you can recognize his voice when he's speaking. So if John Hamm was to do, if they did an animated version of OMAC, I would want John Hamm to do it. And any chance they do it live, then bring him in and let him be OMAC. Let him be, Billy Blank. And I know you'd have to, and this is why I'm saying with cartoon, right? I don't think, and I'm thinking more, it has to be a movie or a cartoon. And I'll end this point here. I'll let you go, Rod. Mm-hmm. Because at certain points, you got OMAC, who's a little bit more buff.
Right.
But then he gets turned into Billy Blank.
Right.
So that's very easy to draw in a cartoon, right? To show the size difference. Next wise, you wouldn't be able to really do it on a TV show, but in a movie, you would have to do that similar scene like how they did with Captain America with Chris Evans, where you saw Chris Evans and, they kind of took his head and put it on another guy's body and made him very small. And then, when he got the serum, he got really big, buff and big, and that was Chris Evans' true body. So you would need someone like that because Billy Blank kind of goes up and down throughout the series. Like it's Billy Blank, it's OMAC, it's Billy Blank. So you need an actor there that can do it. So that have that budget wise, just for that effect, I would definitely say, give me a movie or give me a cartoon series, and it's got to be well done. So it's got to be something done like Young Justice or a little bit more serious than that, where they might not put it on TV and put it on one of the streaming services. So there we go. But no matter who it is, John Hamm is my man.
Okay. I like it. John Hamm does have the action chops to pull that off. I can see what you're going, who and why you're going with him. I can catch that. Now for my person, I wanted to have someone that, okay, I'll step back. I agree with you nearly identical in the sense of having like a mini series, like if it is a movie, like right. I think I even said on our last one time I did say having a movie and then having more of the storyline drawn and pulled out in an anime. Because I agree, for one, if we're doing King Kirby's style, I hope that they will do like they did with Thor: Love and Thunder, when you give the visuals that you can clearly see that's a Kirby touch. So if we're going to do that, let's give honor to him and make sure that, especially in the anime aspect of it, let's get the visuals, the backgrounds, having that. You can still, it may be modern, but you can still see, I can see the outline of why you're trying to do Jack Kirby. So with that, I wanted to go with someone who has if we're doing a live one, have the physical that he would need to be buffed up a little bit. Right. But it basically, when you see him in plain clothes, you can't tell that he's chiseled underneath. So when he does turn from a buddy to OMAC.
Oh, okay.
Then, he's buff, again, you're in a nice, tightest shirt, you kind of thing. Cypress and others. So the person I chose to go was Dave Franco.
Dave Franco.
So here we go. Dave Franco. Let's go. We'll just reverse in order in the sense of a couple of stuff. The latest one that you would have seen him was on Day Shift.
Yes.
Because of that type of.
Yes.
And excuse me, but let's get back to Dave. And I'm just saying this and as reference.
Now you see
Hobbit
yes.
type of style. And now you see what we're gonna, especially that's a wordplay I'll get to as well. But at least in the sense of the Hobbit aspect of it being like, why do we have a Hobbit? Because no one noticed a Hobbit. I want someone that can just blend into a crowd and have that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. When he was in Day Shift, in that character, he was just the accountant type of guy. He literally looked like, you're just someone like, oh, you're an average person. Definitely by the time he settled down, he was more relaxed with Jamie Foxx's character. But he was the type of person like saying, yeah, you can blend in anywhere. And that was his MO originally. Mm-hmm. But he has that type of acting chops. He has the physical for working on that show, for working in that movie. A lot of action and movement when he was doing Now You See Me, Now You Don't, Six Underground. He was in Neighbors.
Uh-huh.
So I mean, there are Jump Street 22 Jump Street, but he has, at least I was saying, as of his latest stuff, Day Shift, he has the acting chops to be able to make those physical type of action scenes that he can pull it off and go well. So all I just say, he would just need to be buffed out a little bit more. So, because in my mind, I actually thought of Zach from Neighbors. I thought of
Zac Efron.
I thought of Zac Efron for a quick second, and I'm like,
yeah.
I was like, yes, you could, but I'm like, no. And then I remember Neighbors, and then I saw Dave, and I'm like, wait a minute, I know you from somewhere else. Went through and checked, like, right, Day Shift, and that was where I just said, okay, definitely going to put you on the side list, on the short list. And I was like, you know what, he to me, he was perfect. He was perfect right there. So I would go with him. So now also in the fact that going to anime, keep his voice and everything like that, because I want also the duality of voice.
Yes.
So
yes.
He will portray being maybe not timid, but just very relaxed type of, I'm just there, buddy blank, whatever the case would be.
Under the radar. And
when he needs to, OMAC, yeah. We will, we don't have to give him a Batman gruff type of voice, but he can basically portray that and give you the duality of the personality, and realizing, yeah, oh, you could just now watch it in an anime. I can hear it.
Yeah, I can hear it.
I could be in the room, I could be in another room, and I can hear. I don't have to hear the words properly to know what part of the dialogue, if he's buddy or whatever, but I'll hear him like, yeah, you're buddy at this point. Yeah, you're OMAC at this point.
I see it. Okay. I see it. I can. Now that you said it, mentioned, I really like that. So we're going with Dave Franco. I really like that. And especially if you read, like I said, anyone that's listening to the show, go back, try to find it. Find the original issues by Jack Kirby. There's an OMAC issue, which has the original origin, and then an updated origin. And then it has, him in the future, War Cry, stuff like that. And so I think that one is really important to read. You got to read the Jack Kirby run, and then definitely check out the John Bryan run. John Bryan also had a nice take on that to kind of wrap up that character's history, kind of a Mad Max-ish kind of feel he was getting to the end. But I think those ones were really, if I have to rate it, I would definitely go, obviously Kirby first, because he's the one that started it, going over to John. And then there was another one that was done, I think in the New 52, where it was OMAC, but it was done during present time, where they gave him like blue skin. And they almost made him like a Hulk kind of version, where it was his buddy blank was a little guy, and then he would change into OMAC.
Right.
Yeah. And Brother I was still there, so it was still influenced, but it was during present time and not in the future. So those were the ones that really stood out for me. The Batman storyline was kind of cool, but I still didn't think that was the OMAC. It felt more like the Sentinels running around chasing down the X-Men more than one man army corps, and not, multiple man army corps. It's still a good line, and I mean, I'm a Batman fan. I'm clearly wearing the shirt, but that's how I would read that. Those are the ones that stand out for me, for sure. But I like your points. You made some really good points there with Dave Franco. I like that. Dave Franco. Okay. So we're down to Dave Franco, and we're down to John Hamm for OMAC. All right. That works.
It works. And you know what? Even you were saying before about dry humor and having that type of subtlety, just like comic, he has it. So yeah.
Wow.
That'll be, listen, everyone, you know what? Again, hope you like our choices. And if you have anybody that you think is be a good fit as well, after sharing who the character is, if anybody else sparks your mind, please make sure you just drop it in the comments below. Let us know. That
is awesome. And on that note, thank you everyone for tuning in on the iConis podcast. And as I always like to say, this whole world was started by a pencil, a piece of paper, and lots of imagination. Keep on dreaming. Woo! Now, hold on. Do I get to get a 5G, or is it a 4G raid to turn into OMAC? I don't know.
I don't know. That's why I was just.
Do I need a modem or a Wi-Fi?
I was about to go, brother.
I say brother. My brother's showing up and slapping me off the back of my head. So I can't
I'm
call
going
for Brother
Super Saiyan.
I because Brother Brian will show up and kind of set me right.
That'd be good, man. That'd be painful. Be like, going Super Saiyan on you. That'd be painful. Vegeta Kakarot.
Maybe laugh so hard I choke. All right, we're out. Take care. Night, everyone.
Later.